r/AskReddit. Serious, when was a time you legitimately thought you were going to die? Woke up immediately wide awake in the middle of the night without moving and the hair standing up on the back of my neck because my now ex-wife was standing in our bedroom holding a large kitchen knife and staring at my feet. She had had a schizophrenic break a few months earlier and had started referring to me as the enemy. Quote, I laid there without moving. She stood there for over an hour. Have no idea how long she was there before I woke up. Anyway, she leaves the room and comes back without the knife, gets into bed, and cuddles in little spoon style like she made a decision. Then she made me waffles for breakfast. Best believe I put on my best. Oh wow, amazing wife. These waffles are yum. Voice. That is absolutely terrifying. Definitely was. I started dating about a year after the divorce. First night I spent with a woman I almost had a panic attack and couldn't sleep. Crazy how that kind of stuff can become little landmines planted in your brain. And that incident was the iceberg tip. But I think you have to laugh it off. For instance, occasionally having waffles for breakfast is a little inside joke I have with myself that makes me remember to appreciate still being around. This happened about 4 to 5 months ago. I was home alone eating steak tip kebabs for dinner. My wife was at work and due home in about an hour. I choked on one of the pieces of steak, chew throughly people. At first I thought I just needed to swallow harder. Bad idea, as now it was firmly lodged in my throat. I tried coughing it up, punching myself in the stomach, and pulling it out with my hand, none of which helped. I then ran over to the kitchen and tried to wash it down with some water. The water just sat in a pool in my mouth. My throat was completely blocked. At this point I contemplated calling 911. But I knew I'd be long dead before they'd arrive. The thought of my wife, we just celebrated our first anniversary and recently decided to start trying to conceive, coming home to find my dead body was by far the scariest part. I remember looking at my cats, but they just stared at me, confused at my odd behavior. Eventually I reached what felt like my whole hand down my throat and pulled a chunk of the obstruction out. This loosened it enough to let me cough out the remainder. I was so close to passing out. Vomit everywhere. Total time in throat around 90 seconds. I couldn't talk for a day due to the physical trauma on my throat. Drove myself to the hospital. Cried in front of my wife when I saw her. The next few days were surreal. It was like I was living in an alternate timeline. I don't find choking gags in movies, TV amusing anymore. Still have mild PTSD about it. I'm glad you got it out. Choking PTSD is real. I choked on a piece of prime rib, luckily not alone. And I have trouble swallowing often now. Stuff's terrifying, especially because you know exactly what's happening. My third round with double pneumonia. Put into isolation on round-the-clock oxygen. There's just something about such severe oxygen deprivation that you get dizzy and hack up a lung just crossing a room to pick up a book that makes you certain the end is coming. My lungs shut down during chemo, allergy to one of the chemo drugs, and yeah, not being able to breathe or catch your breath is terrifying. Even when your care is amazing like mine was in ICU. My lung capacity is reduced quite a bit since. But I can exercise still. So I consider myself lucky. The day I had a dystonic reaction from an antipsychotic medication. It's basically an episode of dystonia. From the torso up, I didn't have any control over my muscles. I thought I was going to snap my own neck. This happened while I was driving. A couple friends and I were driving home from a birthday party and we got rear-ended by a drunk driver who was going about 120. On impact all of the windows exploded and the tires caved inwards and we were going about 70, so there was a sort of slingshot effect that made us pick up some speed. We were just careening down the freeway with zero control. The car swerved around a bunch, almost hits another car and a pole and eventually rolled into an area just right of the shoulder. Luckily it ended up back upright on the tires and somehow ended up facing the complete opposite direction we were initially going. We thought our friend in the backseat was dead, but she was just unconscious and ended up having some pretty bad whiplash. My other friend and I were basically unharmed except for some cuts and bruises and just overall body ache for a little bit. This was in 2007 and I still think about pretty frequently. We all probably should have died for sure. All these car crash stories are making me very glad for all the advances in safety over the decades. And I'm also glad you and your friends were okay. These drunk driver stories make my blood boil. I hope he spent some time in prison for that, but more importantly I am glad you're okay. Caught norovirus a few years ago. I didn't realize how bad it could be before it struck. No fluids would stay in for more than a few seconds. I ended up really dehydrated almost overnight. Like if you pushed on my skin it would stay sunk. I couldn't move or any muscles would full cramp, legs, jaw, arms, abs, all of them. I didn't think I would survive. At the very least thought my heart would cramp. But I got over it after 5 or 6 days. I can totally see how it kills old people though. If I was any less averagely healthy for an adult male, I'm sure I'd be dead. I had norovirus for a bit once. Around the same time I had a secondary infection. I woke up unable to move my legs below the knees. My dad didn't believe me when I went to his computer room downstairs. He just kept telling me to stand up no matter how much I would go on about it. Ended up laying on the sofa waiting on my mum waking up. She was kinda spooked. A doctor came to the house and basically said to get me to the hospital now as she had never seen this before. My legs were like ice to the touch. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks on fluids and stuff. I woke up at one point surrounded by many doctors wheeling my bed around. I was being rushed to the high dependency ward. I felt really weak and could hardly move my arms or body. My dad quit smoking at that point so he could spend more time in the room with me. He hasn't smoked since. I haven't liked apple juice since then as I had to stay hydrated, and for those 2 weeks my dad got me an apple juice carton 8 times a day or something like that. A cousin was born that week, so if only I remembered his birthday. This was many years ago. Edit. I woke up unable to move my legs. Thought it was maybe dead legs for a little bit. Had to climb off of a bunk bed on my knees and slide on my butt down the stairs. When I was taken hostage in Iraq and held for over 2.5 years. The 4 other people captured with me were killed. I was the only one who made it out alive. I did an AMA about it some years ago. Web link, RIAMA. I am Peter Moore, the longest held hostage in Iraq. That's quite possibly the best AMA I've ever read. I'm very sad that you had to go through that. But I'm also very happy that you're with us now. I hope the PTSD has improved, and that your life is going well. Hi, I'm doing well now and not affected by PTSD anymore. I still have the odd flashback and memory recall, but nothing like it used to be, and I can control them much more now. Back in July I was riding my motorcycle and was turning into my driveway. A girl came from behind me around a sharp turn and T-boned me. She was going at least 60 miles per hour up until a couple seconds before impact when she hit her brakes. She hit me because she was either texting or dicking around with something in her car. Either way, she wasn't paying attention. I remember hearing tires screeching and seeing the car half a second before impact, then everything went black. I broke the windshield with my head, broke the mirror with my hip, then landed face first on the road. I do remember being scared because I wasn't sure if there were more cars, so adrenaline kicked in and I caught myself with my hands and knees and pushed myself to my feet to run off the road. That's where I regained my vision. The bike was totaled, but thanks to my helmet and pure rage at being hit I managed to literally walk away with only a concussion. Nasty bruises. And a deep bone bruise on my left foot. No broken bones at all. It's been 8 months and I'm still recovering from the concussion. My toe barely hurts, and the leg that took the impact has a dent in the muscle, but other than that I'm fine. If I wouldn't have been wearing a helmet, then I have no doubt that I would be dead now. Wear your darn helmets, kids. When I had migraine with aura for the first time, I didn't even know this was a thing. But it started with the worst migraine I ever had, followed by me losing my sight and becoming dizzy and feeling sick. I thought this was it. I told my sister that I thought I was gonna die. She told me she has those migraines too. Brought me a pill specifically for these migraines and told me to sleep. She stayed with me until I woke up just to be sure. Scary as hell. Migraines with weird symptoms are no joke. My first one had no pain, but I had an aura that blocked about 60% of my vision in one eye, and I lost the ability to put sentences together. I'd get 2 or 3 words in and just blank. I didn't think I was going to die, but I did wonder if I was having a stroke. I've since lost my speech one other time, but normally just the vision loss, and now I get the pain as well. Crazy what a variety of symptoms there is. Edit. Just thought I'd add my husband called an ambulance and I was assessed by a doctor afterwards. But I'm definitely keeping an eye on any other weird trends. I do get pain too now. It's a bit more typical. And also am extremely irritable the day or two before one is coming. And wiped for a day or two after. I was in the gym the first time I got aura and I walked over to someone and asked if my face was drooping. I was convinced I was having a stroke. Auras are terrifying. It was so alarming I was relieved when the headache hit. I was on vacation this past summer. Was staying at a friend's house. When I started to notice my chest feeling tight. I started to get a fever and feel sick. I threw up and the feeling in my chest started to expand. It felt like it was going to explode. Like a balloon being inflated inside me. I couldn't stand it. I literally felt like at any moment my heart would give out or my chest would explode. Went to the emergency. Turns out I had a really bad gallbladder attack. But on the drive to the hospital I was telling my wife how much I love her lol, and that if she remarries don't let it be anyone we currently know, ha ha ha. That's all folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please help the channel by smashing the like button and subscribing for more daily content.